everybody, welcome back to Markers and Monsters for day 19 of Drawlloween. Today's Witchcraft Wednesday, so let's get right into it, shall we? As you can see here in the background, I'm just putting in a nice witch riding her broom, and there's going to be a nice full moon here in the background, but let's get that witch there in first. This is another one of those times when having a decent grasp of anatomy is handy, when you can draw a more complicated pose relatively quickly without needing to look at reference material or whatnot. So that's why it's always good, to practice up the anatomy and stuff. Putting in a couple here in the background and just making a spooky Halloween sky filled with some broomstick riding witches. And hey, look, it's the return of my ultra cheap compass. Yeah, that thing was maybe 50 cents. But you know what? It served me well over the years, so great. It's worked out well. Witches and Halloween go together like, I don't know, peanut butter and jelly, or, I don't know, pumpkins and Halloween. It's just an amazing little thing. And it's so strange to think about, like, witches of all things that go so well with Halloween. I don't know, I think a lot of that has to do with, at least here in, like, the States, we have the Salem witch trials, which occurred in the 1690s in Salem, Massachusetts. And that was like a big witch panic. 19 people were hanged as accused of witchcraft, which seems an insane thing. That if that were to happen today, that would just be completely, nuts. But back then, yeah, it was a big deal. So I think definitely witches have kind of stuck with us in our cultural heritage and, just our mentality and stuff like that. It's always kind of in the background that, this horrible event happened and people were so afraid of witches that they were willing to kill for it or whatever. But yeah, so it's just kind of stuck with it, and it wasn't until the early part of the 20th century when witches and Halloween, frankly, became like this big popular holiday, and artists were putting out little bits of artwork about it. And then we get the idea of the witch as less of an actual horrifying threat or whatever, and more of just like a fun aspect of the season and the holiday. And yeah, I think that's where that kind of comes from. There's magazine illustrations and stuff like that from the turn of the 20th century that just show witches in a light that were never seen before. Up until then, witches were usually taken very seriously, and they were, old hags or crones or something like that. And then we start to get like your more attractive witches, kind of like the one that's, forefront in this picture. And, witches that are more on the fun side of things rather than the actual horrifying. And then you start to get things codified in, kind of like the witches with like the green skin, the the hook nose, the black capes, and just kind of the superstitions and lore from over hundreds of years start to get codified and turned into something a little different. We start to see the emergence of like the black cat and the broomstick as every witch has one. And so it just kind of spirals out from there. And it turns into kind of a neat thing, because nowadays, Halloween rolls around and we've got witches of all kind. We've got your quote-unquote sexy witches. Costumes are super popular. You've still got that old hag witch with the green skin and like the cauldron and whatnot. And you've got everything in between, and that's always a great part of Halloween to kind of see that kind of stuff come out. Another thing I love about Halloween is just like, I like this stuff year round. Witches in March, great, love it. But, a lot of people don't feel that way. And then Halloween rolls around, then everybody's in the same boat I am. It's everybody likes witches and pumpkins and skulls and stuff. And that's always a fun feeling. But, yeah, for me, witches and skulls and pumpkins, any time of year, any day, 24/7, live it. I love it. Yeah, let's finish inking her up. And I just kept her, like I said, pretty simple. The pose might be a little bit complicated, but not terribly so. And just kind of add in the various details and textures here. And then as we're receding back into the picture, into that purple sky, one thing that definitely, you can do is less detail. It just gives the impression that they're further away. Just like in real life, you can't see detail as well from further distances and stuff like that. So let's kind of add in these clouds here, and just this is actually at its heart a very simple picture, but the thing about it that I think works really well, for me at least, is the colors. Like I said, I hate doing just a pure black sky. It works in some instances, but more often than not, I like to have a nice like color in there, like that purple. Just gives it a lot of character, at least for me. Put in the stars like I've done a billion times before on this show at this point, and sign it up. All right, let's take a look at the scan. Very fun, guys. Hey, this was good. I like talking about witches and Halloween and all that stuff, and I'm really looking forward. Halloween is right around the corner, and I'm super excited. Please, guys, drop me a comment, like, share, subscribe if you enjoyed this video, and I hope you did. But yeah, that's it for me for today. We'll see you tomorrow for another awesome episode of Markers and Monsters.